Well, my friends, this is the next update for the Berliner Schule Sequencer, in short BSS. Actually, it is 2 updates. I had version 0.9.2 released already, and then I had a last idea, which comes with the newest version, this chaos feature here. This time I've taken a closer look at the UI. Earlier versions I made some quick rough decisions, and as the project grew I had to add features where there was space, which resulted in that typical programmer's art feeling that you know from so much open source projects. Well, I've corrected that now, as you can see, and added the usual little UI UX design miracles. And it is always amazing how even small UI UX changes can make a huge impact. Just to compare, this was version 0.9.1 with sliders, and this is what we have now, much more compact, and everything is unified. Yeah, UI UX design. I have thrown out the sliders and replaced them with buttons here. This saves space and makes the UI much cleaner. There is no piano roll view for both the sequence and the evolution, which is much easier to visualize. The order has changed. Now it follows your workflow. First you generate your sequence, then you add evolution to it, and finally export it. So it's here, this step, then this step, and then export. There were also some algorithm changes again. There's always something to tweak. The most obvious here, the chaos feature. The redesign also introduced some inconsistencies under the hood, which required some code cleanup. This was also a big work here to make the CSS consistent. And as told, a new feature from 0.9.3 was that I added back the chaos. This is the wrong version. Here we are. This chaos ruler here. And it breaks the rules. When you have a palette and a range, then with chaos you can override it and add some chaotic dirt to it. The higher, the more chaos you will get. In case chaos is active, the piano roll turns green. So chaos 0, you have blue notes, and when you have chaos added, then the color changes. To make you clear, this is it overrides the original settings. Anyways, now you can go this topic again, and you see the more I erase, the more chaos gets added. I cannot assume that you have seen the former videos, so let's have a look again at what the tool does and how it works. The goal of this tool is to generate sequences in the style of the German electronic music pioneers of the 70s, Tangerine Dream, Ashra Temple, Klaus Schulze and others. What they have in common is that these sequences here changes over time. So let's start with the basics, and let's go quickly through the UI. At the top you can choose the mode. Every mode has some special purposes. The classic mode works relatively free. Klaus Schulze mode generates long notes. The offbeat anchor mode here has some anchor note. This remains unchanged, and then it jumps in between 2 other notes. You can also go on beat, change how often the root note should appear, and you can go below the root note or around root note. Then there is the arpeggiator mode. It goes upwards or downwards or random. I have ascending, descending, up, down, zigzag, and we have started in the random mode, and we can choose how much octaves everything should go up or down. The presets here, forgot to mention, they are made for these modes, but you can also use it with any other mode here. This is the play section. Here you can play it or stop it. And then you can set the seed. The seed is global, so it works for both the export evolution and the normal sequence generation. You can set it to random or fixed. The random and fixed is this part. The export evolution has its own setting for random and fixed. Here we are, the sequencer settings already. Here you define your sound. These 3 green buttons doesn't trigger the recalculation. The other buttons does. So when you turn density down or up, then the whole sequence gets recalculated. Keep that in mind, please, since there is no undo. To explain every single button would be a bit too much here. Have a look at the how-to at the end. Here the sliders and values and buttons are explained. With the normal media export, just this sequence here gets exported. And with evolution export, you can modify the sequence and add an evolution to it. Let's go into classic. With other words, you can extend the original sequence and add some changes over time to it. You can see this is the beginning and it changes over time, and you can also add some chaos over time, and you see the first part remains unchanged. And then over time it goes more and more into entropy. You can also turn everything to 0, grip 100, everything down, and this also down, and then we have this first phrase across the whole sequence, and then you can, for example, use the jazz standard, and this way you have a bass for a jazz song. And also here we have now a piano roll for visual preview. This one does not play. I don't see big sense in listening minute-long sequences. The visual effect is much more important here, so that you can judge if the generated part is worth the export. This is what the tool is in a nutshell. The tool is now feature complete. Now let's have a look how it turns out in production, and let's catch the last remaining bugs. That was that. Happy sequencing! I hope we will see us in the next video.